How is it going, everyone? Here I am to talk about a story that's garnered quite a lot of attention, and honestly, I think most people are in agreement that this is not a bad thing. I think most people are in the agreement of we do not need a PlayStation 6 right now. We do not need a PlayStation 6 in 2027, as is the rumored window of when the PlayStation 6 is going to drop. I just don't think anybody is ready for it. In all honesty, do we need new consoles anytime soon? I think this is a real discussion to have, and I'll get into that in a little bit, but let's go over the story. As noted on Insider Gaming, RAM price increases could see next-generation console releases delayed. Insider Gaming has learned that the ongoing price increases in RAM due to the rise in AI could delay the next generation of console releases. If you guys have not been following RAM prices, yes, it's absolutely egregious right now, and it's going to create a real barrier for people to get into PC gaming where they require 16 to 32 gigabytes of RAM. Ideally, these days, a lot of machines are going with 32 gigabytes of RAM, but you can still get by with 16 gigs easily. We first mentioned the rumor during our Insider Gaming Weekly episode on December 19th, where we mentioned that we had heard that there are already ongoing talks that at high levels on what RAM availability can mean for the next generation. From what we've heard, the industry as a whole is concerned about RAM availability and what that is going to mean for mass-producing consoles at a competitive price point, not only for the next generation, but it also could mean that yet more price increases for current generation consoles will hit us in 2026. RAM modules have increased in price by several 100% in the past few months due to the demand for AI, and there are also entities that have been moving away from consumer RAM manufacturing, and now they're not selling RAM to consumers, which is just insane, and the market is just in disarray. It leaves console producers in a very tricky spot moving forward. And while consoles have traditionally been subsidized to a certain extent in the past, it seems like RAM availability and price increases will mean that the next generation of consoles, which were already believed to be a much higher in price than previous generations, can be extortionate. From what we understand, the situation has led to console manufacturers to debate whether the next generation of consoles should be delayed from their intended 27 to 28 release window, with the hope that RAM manufacturers will be able to build out the infrastructure to produce more RAM, thereby allowing prices to drop. Okay, so let's talk about it. Let's get to the elephant in the room right away. Every time I talk about the potential of a PlayStation 6, it seems damn near people are in unanimous agreement. We do not need a PlayStation 6, and guess what? I agree with that. While I like my PlayStation 5 Pro, while I like the benefits that it offers to a game like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, it is very few and far between that people are blown away by it. If you are still on a base PlayStation 5, you are fine. And obviously, the PS5 Pro is a mid-gen upgrade that is not necessarily going to be the thing that is going to make or break. But guess what? 95% of PlayStation 5 games these days have the option to be played at 60 frames per second at fairly good graphics. You know what? That's enough for me these days. I get that, with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, that was the one game where I thought the performance mode looked really mediocre, and I thought the Pro did a lot for it. But you know what? At this point, I'm kind of done with it. If we are getting to a point where we need new consoles for more hardware, you know what that's ultimately going to do? Development cycles are going to get longer. Sure, the games are gonna look better, but that means higher price point. That means fake early access, more incentivizing to you buying the deluxe edition where the content is going to be locked out that would otherwise be in the main game. And maybe you can also make the argument that's going to happen either way, but you know what? We don't need new consoles. And as somebody that's a content creator, yeah, I would get the PlayStation 6 if it came out, but at the same time, I have the functioning ability to utilize a single brain cell and realize that I am very much in the minority. Most people at this point, if the PlayStation 6 comes out at $700 to $800, guess what? It'll probably sell a lot in its initial wave, but then what? Are a lot of people gonna move out in droves to pick it up? Yeah, initially the FOMO is gonna be there, and a lot of people probably will buy the initial stock, but beyond that, and especially if the price point is even higher than that, it's just gonna be something where people are priced out of. On top of all of that, at this point, we all know that if the PS6 comes out in 2027, you know what's gonna happen? Get ready for all of your cross-gen games, even more so than I would say with the PS5 and the PS4, and you saw a lot of that with games like God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West. Maybe they'll get one or two studios to do true exclusives, but then beyond that, it is going to be cross-gen games, and bear in mind that Sony is still very much invested into the live service market. You think that a live service game is going to be a next-gen exclusive case of no, it absolutely is not. Live service games are intended to be played by as many people as possible, and they're not going to lock that out to a new console. And again, I get the idea of me just talking about live service games infuriates people, but guess what? Sony's going to continue making them. I do believe a big reason why Sony desperately wants to get Intergalactic out by the summer of 2027 is so they can ultimately remaster that game for the PlayStation 6. But you know what? Let's just delay Intergalactic to avoid some crunch. Let's delay the PlayStation 6, and then guess what? You can release Intergalactic on a delay, and then the PlayStation 6 will come out on a delay, and then you can do what Naughty Dog always does best and remaster the same damn games over and over again. You can have all of that, but at this point in time, I don't think the PS6 is necessary. At this point in time, in all honesty, I also believe we are reaching that threshold. I get that we want to break down the performance and the visuals and this many pixels and that many pixels. Guys, I think I'm getting to the point where I'm good. I had the issues with FF7 Rebirth at launch, and if we get to a point where every game is running at 30 frames per second again, like, okay, ideally I want games to be at 60 frames per second, but what more can we do? What more can we get out of these games? We are not going to be growing the leaps and bounds that generationally we had in the past, and you know what? I'm okay with that. The games that, as they look right now, as they play right now, I'm fairly content with it for the most part. You know, Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to come out, and it's probably going to run at 30 frames per second. Ideally, it would be at 60 FPS, but I look at some of the games that are well optimized, and then you can make the argument, hey, did you see how Delta Snake Eater ran on PlayStation 5? Was Delta Snake Eater really just a hardware problem? Because I look at games like Spider-Man 2, Horizon Forbidden West, which, by the way, was a cross-gen game, God of War Ragnarok cross-gen game. I look at how those games look. I look at how games like Sorrows coming out look, and it's just like, bro, I'm good. I look at Plague Tale Requiem, I'm good at this point. I don't need beefier visuals. I don't need a lot more of that. And then when you look at it year by year, what are some of the biggest games every year? Some of the biggest games this year were Hades 2. Some of the biggest games this year were Hollow Knight Silksong. Expedition 33, obviously a very, very good-looking game, but it's not like it's moving mountains as far as visual presentation that, oh my god, if we really want Sandfall Interactive to do another game, they need the power of a new console. No, they don't. Everything that I feel like that's compelling can be done with the current hardware set that we have available. And when you look at the last couple of years, we're finally starting to hit the stride of the current gen of consoles, especially with the game output. This year, we had Yote come out. Okay, that's a bit of a showcase. Next year, we're gonna have Sorrows. We're gonna have Wolverine. I would say at this point, we're good for a while, and I think most people watching this video would agree. Now, are there people out there with the disposable income that they can buy anything? Yeah, those people exist, but they are becoming more and more few and far between, and more people are going to be selected, especially with the value offering that a new console is going to give. Like, what are you going to give people that they can't get with the PlayStation 5 and with all of the big games that are available? And sure, there are going to be people that aren't happy with the visual presentation, the performance of the PS5 as is. I really do feel those people are in the minority at this point. And I think PlayStation understands that, yeah, they could do a PlayStation 6, people would buy it. Guess what? They barely have any competition anymore. But is it the ideal time to drop a PlayStation 6? Do you want to drop a new console? And do you want the factor of it just being something that people at this point more than ever are priced out of getting? Sure, it's different than when the PlayStation 3 came out, because the PlayStation 3 had the head-to-head competition and the cheaper option in the Xbox 360, where that is really not going to exist. If anything, Microsoft might be dropping the more expensive console, but still, I don't think you want the optics of dropping a PlayStation 6 and then people being like, alright, it's $1,000. Some people will pick it up, but at the same point, the biggest games every year, they're gonna be cross-gen for quite a while, and I just don't think we need a PlayStation 6, man, and I think more people are coming to that as well. I think people are just happy, let's get more great games, man. Let's optimize the console that we have right now. The visuals aren't the issue. I don't think anybody thinks that's the issue anymore. Is there room to grow? There always is going to be a certain level of room to grow, but not at the form of a $1,000 console for most people, or an $800 console. I just don't think that makes a lot of sense, and I just think you look at the calendar of games for 2026, let's just get more of that. I'm not going to be looking at games being like at Neo 3, being like, oh my god, it would be great if this game was at 60 FPS. By the end of the PlayStation 3's life, and really a year or two at the end of the PlayStation 3's life, I was like, alright buddy there, 2011, 2012, well. Remember when Battlefield 3 came out? Battlefield 3 was a game that was very much limited by the hardware that we were on at that point. And then by the end of the PlayStation 4, it was like, brother, I'm ready for games to have at least the option of 60 frames per second. And sure, maybe you can argue, hey, we need a platform that's going to unify 60 FPS and the best possible visuals, and that would be naturally the next step. And the PlayStation 5 Pro, that was kind of the idea. I don't think it's that big of a deal at this point. I don't think it's a big deal whatsoever, and I think we could wait. I think we could wait till 29. I think we could wait till 30, might be pushing it a little bit, but we'll see, man. Let's get through 26 and 27, and I don't think we're anywhere near needing a PlayStation 6, and I think a delay is actually best for all. I think that's really the best case scenario here, but we'll see, especially with PSSR potentially increasing the longevity of these consoles. We'll see how everything goes down, but as far as the PS6 is concerned, yes, I would buy it, and there are people out there that would buy it right away. I think the number of people that are out there, I think that element is lessening and lessening and lessening, and there's no need for the consoles at this point. And maybe by the end of 26, we'll be singing a different tune, and oh my god, they announced Bloodborne Remake as a PS6 launch title, and it's PS6 exclusive, and people get excited, but at the end of the day, man, are you telling me that Bloodborne Remaster, Bloodborne Remake needs a PS6? It don't need a PS6. It just doesn't. We all know that we can get a remastering of Bloodborne on the PlayStation 5. We know that the big games that everybody wants can run on the PS5. Wolverine's gonna be on the PS5. Spider-Man 3 probably is gonna be on the PS5 as well as a cross-gen title at worst if it's a PS6 title as well. So that's just where I'm coming from it. We don't need new consoles. We could wait a while, and honestly, I'm pretty happy with what the PS5's offering. I mean, I just went back and I played through Dishonored 1, and it's just like, dude, that game does run at 30 frames per second. It would be great if that game gets boosted, but at this point in time, give me good game design, give me good narratives, give me good gameplay, and I'm gonna be good at this point as far as performance and the visuals go. And I know I said everything about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but that's the one instance where I thought PSSR went the long way, and it did make that game look a lot better. But even with that game, I wouldn't say, oh my god, drop $700 for a pro to play that game that looks better. And the same can be said with the PS6. And you kidding me, if it's $1,000, just, you know, most people are not going to be paying that price point. Yes, day one it would sell very well, but beyond that, I just think it's not going to be something people would gravitate to, and they don't need to. More than ever, I don't think they need to. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.